Today we are trying 3 beers that look fairly similar to each other, but one is not like the others. Hello and welcome to another video on JD's Booze Reviews. It has been recently announced that the most popular beer in the UK is Madri. Not a beer I'm massively a fan of, it must be said. However, the sort of budget supermarkets want a slice of the action. So they have released very similar and very close to close to the cuff on sort of design choices. This is Grande from Aldi, and we also have Sabor in a bigger can from Lidl. All of these are 4.6%, so they're all the exact same percentage. They are all essentially Madri, or at least trying to imitate Madri. However, funny enough, these two are brewed in Spain. Madri is not. Madri has never touched Spanish soil unless someone really wants to take it on an aeroplane with them on holiday. But yeah, Madri is brewed in a couple of places. I think it's Tadcaster is one, but also in Burton-on-Trent. I think if it's on draft, it's Tadcaster, and if it's can, it's Burton-on-Trent. Not too sure, but on the can of the Madri, it specifies that it is from Burton-on-Trent. And yeah, the two knockoff versions say they're brewed in Spain. Doesn't say where, but it does say that they are brewed in Spain, which is more than the original can say. So we're going to try these 3 beers and see if the original is the one that reigns supreme, or is the ones that are a little bit more authentically Spanish ahead of the game. So we're going to try the original first. So Madri going in the pink glass for the original one. And the others will go in different glasses to differentiate. We'll try them individually, and then we will potentially dip between them to see if we can get anything further on that should we need to. So in terms of colour, that looks like a lager. That is very clear, very light, a little bit, I don't know if it's the glass, yeah, they've been in the fridge for a little while, so they are pretty cold. But yeah, to be fair, decent sort of head retention on that. Very light carbonation. Yeah, I mean, I do not mind the lager, and this is looking like a lager I would be interested in if I saw that in a glass. So on the aroma, we have a sort of sweet, bready, malty flavour to it. Yeah, a little bit light on the aroma, it must be said. I'll just give that a nice swirl, and I'm getting very little flavour in that, aroma in that. I get a little bit, but it's very, very muted. But yeah, just smells like a lager would smell. A little bit sort of brown bready, a bit sweet, a bit malty. So all seems good there. Okay, so all that I was smelling on the aroma, you know how I said the aroma was muted? Yeah, this is very muted. I'm getting none of that sweet, bready, malty character, really, apart from a very light hint on the finish. You're getting a bit of a bitterness on the end, but a very, very light one. I mean, if I swirl it around in my mouth a little bit, I get a bit of flavour, but nothing massive. That is, yeah, very, very safe as a drink goes. There's just nothing to it really. A very light maltiness that almost feels like an afterthought on tasting it. With some, better lagers I've had, you get that flavour front and centre. Whereas here, it tastes like a drink. It tastes like I'm tasting a drink that I've had a while ago. Is probably the best way. Feels like a beer of distant past. Like I've finished my pint, I'm sat chatting with friends, I've not had a chance to go to the bar yet, and I can still sort of taste the residual. But even that, I've not been drinking for a little bit while I've been talking. And yeah, I'm getting very, very little here. Like, I wouldn't really know that I'd had a drink. It's very, palate is basically reset completely. Which is, I guess, good for some drinkers who just want to drink and drink and drink and not have to necessarily worry about the flavour. This is very, very plain, safe, average is a a pretty accurate word. But yeah. It's got all the characteristics of a lager when you have it in your mouth. But on swallowing, it's just nothing. Let's see how the other two stack up. So, just went to go and check my camera, and turns out it stopped recording after the first beer, which you'd have just seen. I did just do quite a long, lengthy review of the Sabor, which was Lidl's, and the Grande, which is Aldi's, and turns out the camera stopped working. So, we are going to have to review the beers again. So this is the Sabor. So this is from Lidl, a little bit cheaper than Madri, around about 30p less. This one comes in a bigger can, surprisingly. So although it's a little bit cheaper by like 30p, you're actually getting sort of 68ml per, like 60ml more, because it's a 440 can for the other ones, and that one is a 500ml can, this Sabor. So you'll have to judge me, forgive me, because it's been sat out for a little bit, because I was going to do a sort of a wrap up, and yeah, so the head's not quite there. It stays for a little while. You can see it's still just about there. I poured these sort of 10-15 minutes ago. Still just about there. There's a little bit more character on the aroma than the Madri. A lot more sweet on the aroma, with a slight sort of breadiness in there. Yeah. There was less carbonation, and there's nothing in there at the moment, but they have been sat out a little bit, so I'm sure it hasn't gone completely flat, don't worry. But let's give it a taste. So this one's a bit more skunky, which is potentially due to how it's been kept. If it's been getting warm, that could cause some of them flavours to happen. But I mean, you know, Corona's quite skunky. Whether that's by design or not, don't know. But yeah, that's the kind of smell I'm getting when you crack open a Corona. You get that sort of weed, dank, skunked flavour, aroma. So there's a little bit of that there. But there is a very nice bitterness to this. Very nice bitter, nice and bitter. Once you keep come back for more. Not a massive amount of carbonation. Again, they've been sat out for sort of 10-15 minutes, but when I had it before, there wasn't a huge amount either. I mean, let's see if we can get a little bit more out of the can. Yeah, very little in the way of carbonation, not massive. Certainly not as well. I think the Madri didn't have that much carbonation either. To be fair, we'll go back and sort of try cover the bases once we've done the main reviews. But this is a lot more bitter than the Madri. The Madri basically had no flavour, no follow through. It just sort of vanished. This has got a nice bitterness. Lingering, makes you want to keep going back for more, which make you keep having a drink of it, realistically, which makes it more, got more drinkability to it. Personally, I think that's a good point to have, of making you want to keep them drinking, because at the end of the day, I mean, although this is a beer that's not like going to a pub, so the barman's not going to be absolutely ecstatic that you keep going back to order a pint, but yeah, it's very, very nice to drink and will get through a can fairly quickly, especially with being a bigger size. You've got more to drink through, so probably about the same rate compared to the other cans. So yeah, that is sweeter, bitter, a bit more maltiness. It's a little bit on the sort of brioche side, quite sweet, and more on the sweeter side than the bitter side. Yeah, on the sort of more on the sweeter side than the maltier side, should I say. So yeah, that is a lot better than the Madri. Way better than the Madri. And cheaper and bigger cans. So, yeah. Let's see how Aldi's version fares. So I've just topped the Grande up. Forgot to show that. I'm throwing off now, my camera stopped working. So this is the Grande. This is from Aldi. This is actually the cheapest. All these prices that I'm putting on the screen are prices for a 4-pack. I tried to make sure I got a 4-pack of cans on each one to sort of compare prices, as opposed to getting a bottle for one, because this does come in a big, probably a 500ml bottle. I can't remember now. It did come in a bottle. I don't remember seeing the other ones in bottle when I had a run through the shop. It was late last night. I just ran through and had to go to 3 different shops, so I was kind of just going on a mission. One thing I noticed with this before, and is kind of coming true here, is the head retention on the Grande is a lot less. It is losing its head at a rapid pace. I mean, just as we've been watching, it's been waning very quickly. So, not great there. Less protection of the beer, so if it's sat out for longer, it's going to get exposed to sort of your oxygen and stuff. I mean, that's the reason why you check lagers have the massive amount of head, because they believe that is key, because it protects the beer, keeps it less carbonated, because there's not as much oxygen getting to it. So the longest it stays out like that, I mean, we've only been talking for a couple of minutes on this, and if this was sat out whilst I'm, doing a barbecue, I'm having a barbecue tomorrow, it's going to get drank regardless. Obviously, no waste here on JD's Booze Reviews, and these are going to get drank tomorrow. If this is sat out in the sun tomorrow, it's probably going to start tasting worse and worse very quickly compared to the other two. On the aroma, we're getting a nice sweet maltiness. Yeah, a lot more sweeter, I'd say, than the other two. Been getting sweeter and sweeter as we've been moving up. I've clearly picked the right order for this. Doesn't taste that sweet, actually. It's yeah, probably is the sweeter of the three. Has got them nice malty, bready sort of characters in a lager, but has got a lot more sweetness. That's the Sabor, the previous one, had a lot more bitterness. This has a lot more sweetness with a little bit of bitterness. Still plenty flavour there. Despite that head retention, I mean, look, it's literally gone. Right. There's literally around, except the edge of the glass, there's nothing. I mean, you can't see, because if I tilted it, you'd see the edge. But yeah, in the middle, it's just a ring on the outside of what was head at this point, which is a downside, because this is tasting very nice. Doesn't taste skunky like the Lidl one, it must be said. So yeah, this is definitely on the more sweeter side than the other ones. So although they're meant to be all the same beer, essentially, they are tasting very different in subtle ways, which is brewing in a nutshell. You can brew the same recipe. If you do it in a slightly different way, you're going to get different outcomes. Now, that's not to say they're the same recipe, but they're aiming to try and be very similar to the on-brand one, the macro one, the Madri, to try and captivate that audience. I mean, that's how they work. They make things look like a beer that you, or something like a product that you already know, so you know, oh, I know what it's going to taste like. So all of these taste very different, so they're not quite hit the mark there, but these two definitely have way more flavour than the Madri. I'm going to kind of enjoy these two, the Lidl and the Aldi and the Lidl, shall I say. The Madri will just be drinking it so I don't waste it. Maybe I might hand it off to someone who comes to the barbecue tomorrow. But yeah, yeah. Again, still prefer this to the Madri. I think we should go through them a little bit more, one by one, quick fire. Let's see if we can sort of compare them in a quick succession while the mind is fresh. Let's try that. Right, so quick fire round, back to the start. So, original one, Madri. Let's give it a taste. Oh, that's changed in flavour. That is, yeah, horrid and bitter now. At least it's got flavour to it. But yeah, that is not good now. It's been left out for a little bit while I've been filming, but not that much. Well, not to go like, it's still cold. I wouldn't say it's warm beer, but that is gone. really bitter. Really bitter. That does not taste half. It's like nothing like when I first tasted it, which is the temperature will have a fat effect on that, which is probably why it's served really cold, so it masks them problems. But yeah, it's just got bitter and musty, and yeah, that is not good. Quickly back to the sabor, let's save this. See, that's fine, the same temperature. Sweet on the initial, followed by a nice finish, a bitterness. Probably the most rounded of the three. It's got like a nice flow, sort of sweet beginning, malty middle, bitter end. There is that sort of skunkiness to it though, but that's probably to how it's been packaged, how it's been stored, probably. So yeah, that is definitely better than the Madri, because God, that's fucking awful. That is awful when it's been left out a little bit, which is maybe my fault. But you know, if you're drinking a pint, by the time you get to the bottom of the pint, that's gonna not be tasting as great. But I can finish the sabor. So what's that saying? And quickly, the very little bits of the grande that I have left. Yeah, sweet. Sweet. Less, a little bit less malty because there's more sweetness, so it kind of balances it out with a bit of bitterness. So again, this one's quite balanced as well. It's got a nice sort of story and flow. But if you're asking which one, asking me which one I prefer, if I could try a sabor that didn't have that skunkiness to it, I'd probably prefer that one. But this one is kind of a very close second. Depends what you're feeling, depends, if you asked me tomorrow and tried them, I'd probably say something different. But right now I'm feeling something quite, with a bitter finish, quite drinkable, that kind of stuff. Whereas this is more on the sweet side. But 100%, the two knockoff beers that are brewed in Spain are 100% better than the Madri. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can see my next videos when they come out. And I will see you on the next one. Cheers!